Hey, what's up YouTube? Today I'm going to show you how to create this delectable dish. 100% of the time, whenever we have a get together, everybody devours this dish. Super yummy. So I've already thoroughly washed the potatoes, and you can see here that I'm cutting them into fourths. Normally, whenever I'm using only 2 small bags of potatoes, I typically use the small square metal pan, but I didn't have any more. I only had this oversized rectangular one, which still came in handy. I love the disposable pans because when you're done with them, you can just trash them. You can see here where I am using fresh garlic. Go ahead and chop that into small pieces. Make it as small as you can. Once you're done with that, go ahead and grab a tablespoon because that's what I use in the video for demonstration purposes, so that way you'll have an idea of how much I'm using for each spice. For the pepper, I only use a little bit less than half of a tablespoon because I don't want that flavor to be overpowering. So you can see here that I've gone back to using a full tablespoon for the rest of the spices. I normally always use oregano, and I forgot I don't have any, but if you have some, use a tablespoon of that in the mix. Here I'm using onion powder. If you don't have any, you can just use 1 large onion for this dish and it will taste just as great. If you have to pick up some onion powder from the store, make sure it's not like onion salt, because if you're already using salt in your food, that's already a lot of sodium. So I stay away from like onion salt, seasoning salt, garlic salt, especially if I'm already using salt in my food. So when pouring the olive oil, you don't want your mix to be completely like watered down, and you don't want it like really thick like tomato sauce, if that makes sense. You want the consistency of it to be able to cover all of your potatoes. I'm using Italian parsley in this video. Typically I use cilantro, but the store that I went to, they didn't have any, but the potatoes will still be delicious with this as well. So make sure that you thoroughly bathe all of your potatoes in this mix. Make sure that every potato is covered. Make sure that every side of the potato is covered as well with the mix. So cover the top with aluminum foil. I don't poke any holes or anything because I want to make sure that the potatoes don't dry out, that they aren't very nice and moist. If you can, allow the potatoes to sit in the mix for at least an hour to allow it to marinate. The flavor will be on point. However, if you don't have the time to let it sit, it will still be good, but my disclosure is they will be so much more better and flavorful if you actually can let them marinate. Allow the oven to preheat to 400. Once it reaches that temperature, go ahead and set the timer for 30 minutes and allow it to cook. But once you let it cook that first 30 minutes, take them out, flip the potatoes so that way they can cook evenly, cover them back up and let them cook for another 30 minutes. So while the potatoes are cooking, I'm just putting together a healthy salad. I'm using kale, red cabbage, shredded carrots, and cucumbers. I typically stay away from iceberg lettuce because it doesn't have nearly as many nutrients in comparison to other leafy vegetables. Once the potatoes have cooked for a total of 1 hour, go ahead and pull them out of the oven and flip them once more. Don't cover them back up. Put them back in the oven for 10 minutes. You're doing this so that way they can get crispy and they can also have that roasted look. I only added a little bit of cheese to the salad because I didn't want to make the salad fattening. This is how my potatoes look after a total cooking time of 1 hour and 10 minutes. Just beautiful. I stewed some chicken thighs on top of the stove. My family really crushed this meal. So no, typically for our salads, we use raspberry vinaigrette. I normally try to cook enough for the next day so that way my husband and I were not having to cook every single night. Oh, and FYI, if you are trying to reheat these potatoes, please do not reheat them in the microwave. It will make it so soggy. It's kind of like the same concept with fried chicken. If you want to rewarm them, go ahead and do it in the oven. And if you do that, it will taste exactly the same way that it did when you cook them. So thanks for watching and bon appetit.